Okay, and welcome to our candidate training. We have the extremely talented Tara DeSisto, and she's going to, sorry, I've been looking at South Dakota stuff, DeSisto, and she is going to be training us on how to do online fundraising. And first, I'll have you tell them just a little bit about yourself
Sure.
and what you do for the LP, and then you can launch into the training.
Awesome. So yes, my name is Tara DeSisto. I have been a fundraiser since I was 19 years old, and I got hired as an event coordinator for Harvard Law School. I spent about 7 years of my career working with Harvard. I worked also side hustles with candidates from different parties. I live in Massachusetts, so there really is only one party that exists here, but we're looking to expand that with the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party does have a lot of active donors here in Massachusetts, though, so I'm fortunate enough to be able to connect with them very closely. I have been with the party since November, when I was brought on right before the holidays to take over as director of development, and it's really been exciting. There's been some new updates. I have two people who work with me, Becca Congdon and also Chris Clements. Both of those individuals are from Texas, and that's been really interesting, getting to know both of them and living in completely different worlds and understanding how libertarianism is seen or perceived through those lenses of different states. And I think that's one of the best things about libertarianism, is it really takes a focus on local level politics and the people who are engaged at that level, because it's not going to be the same in Massachusetts as it is in Texas, or Daryl, you're running for governor up in New Hampshire. So you're very close to me, but you and I both know that New Hampshire and Massachusetts could not be more different. They may align on some things, but the people who live there are not at all static. There's a lot of differences that are involved in there. And so I think with any fundraising strategy, you always have to take into account your audience and really adapt your levels to who they are and who they are trying to elect, the kind of policies that they're trying to see elected. So Kara, when I tried to share my screen, I think it's now going to allow me. Okay, great. I have this lovely presentation I'd like to do with you folks. Can you all see my presentation? You can. Beautiful. So this is me. This is my business card. So if you want to reach out or shoot me an email, email is always the best way to get me. I do clean out my email box every week, so it might take me a day or two to get to you in the middle of convention, Freedom Fest, POTUS nomination. It might take me a couple days, but I will get back to you. And I'm very excited about all the down ballot candidates that are running this year, and I really want to be as helpful to them as possible. So let me tell you a little bit about what is really important in political fundraising. Fundraising 101, you need a functional website. If you do not have a functional website, you're not only going to not impress your prospective donors, but you're also not going to have a place to collect your donations. It's really important. It doesn't have to be very substantive. Obviously, this woman is not Jo Jorgensen. This is a mock-up, but you need to make sure that your prospective donors know how to donate and know how to volunteer and have a sense of who you are as a person. If you look at the bottom of the website, you can add small questions where you can decide how you want people to be engaged or understand what policies that you are focusing on. But really, this donate now and this volunteer now button, those are critical for any kind of digital campaigning. And you wanna work with some organization that allows you to take in donations and really syncs all of that information, because that FEC reporting is going to be absolutely critical to your campaign as well. Some sites like Nation Builder or MailChimp will have website integration services for a fee. They'll either add a widget onto your WordPress site, or you can build it right through Nation Builder or MailChimp. I don't particularly enjoy these services because I think they're limiting, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about digital emails in a little while. But these do integrate the website and the email lists for appeals that you will be sending out succinctly. So, oh, a tracker. Every campaign should have a tracker. A tracker is critical information to your campaign. It talks to you about who you need to call, who you have called, who you have emailed. If you see how I do it, these are mock-up names, so don't think you're stealing any donor information here. But you can see that you want to include people's names, their locations, how you reach them by phone or email, their latest gift date if they have given before. You want to make sure that you put all of your contacts that you have on Facebook, contacts that you have engaged with on Twitter, not necessarily who you follow on Twitter, but if you have had a back and forth engagement, you want to make sure you include them in your tracker. And you want to track every experience you have with those individuals. So if you have sent them an email, or if you have left a message for them, you'll notice at the end here, I have notes from the call. Those are really important because they are going to tell you what needs to happen next. Not only do you need to connect with your donors, but what is really important, especially with high dollar donors, is that you follow up. Follow-up is critical because a donor may give you $250 off the bat, but they're not going to give you another $250 unless they know that you are gonna follow through with what you say you're gonna follow through with. So follow-up is important. It doesn't have to be you who follows up. It can be another volunteer. It can be a staff member if you don't have staff. You know, even if you get your spouse to call them back and just fill them in on the campaign a little bit later, those follow-ups become critical. Clean tracking is really important because it's going to keep you on task of who you need to touch and how often you've touched them. And your list is a breathing document. It's not something that you are going to ever finish. Even if your campaign is ended, you're still going to need to follow up with those individuals because you may want to run again, and you want to thank them for their participation in your campaign as it was, and you want to talk to them about the hardships and challenges that your campaign faced. Those are really important to building your support network. Your support network is going to be there for you, hopefully again and again, but they won't do it if they stop believing in you, and they will stop believing in you if you stop connecting with them. So those are really important. Let me see, did I cover all of this? I'm sorry, the Zoom box jumps right into the presentation, so I just want to make sure that I'm moving you guys around and making sure I covered all of this. I'm pretty sure I did, yes. Oh, and your business cards, I think I said that as well. I have this massive basket of business cards that I've collected over time of people I've engaged with. And all of those people, you know, I have them on LinkedIn, some of them I have them on Facebook, some of them I have them on Twitter. You want to add all of those individuals, because even if you're not connected to somebody strongly, they may give $50 to your campaign. They may say, just because you had the gumption to reach out and talk to them, you know, they may just throw you a bone. And bones are important when you're starving artists, or a starving campaign, because all of that campaign money, as you know, goes to really important things that help you run your campaign. The other thing I want to tell you about is leaving messages. You know, I do a lot of call time with people. I work with a lot of different levels, and you know, I can be on the phone for 2 hours and only leave messages. But out of those 15 messages that I left in 2 hours, 4 of them might donate. Leaving a message is definitely a call to action. And I've had $10,000 donations come out of leaving a message. So please don't be discouraged if you spend a lot of time on the phone and only end up leaving messages. And do, a week or two later, call those numbers back again if you don't see movement. And if you do see movement, call and thank them for their contributions. Thanking people is always, always, always important. If you don't have time to do it, to make phone calls within the hours of 9:30 and 8:30, 9:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. in the respective time zone that you're running, then write a thank you note and drop it in the mail to them. Those little things are very, very important, and they're not digital, but personal touches matter so much in fundraising all the time. Let's move on. Digital fundraising, Facebook. So Facebook doesn't really allow you to directly fundraise on the site. This goes back to why you need a really great web page to drive people to. They do allow you to post political content and create a campaign space, which hopefully you've all already done. Promoters who start a government or political candidate website, or I'm sorry, Facebook page, will need to be approved by Facebook before they are able to post. So get into that process. And Facebook is not very friendly to political fundraising. So you're going to have to find creative ways to incorporate your website into all of the content that you post. You want to stay relevant and on topic. You don't want to start talking about, you know, how we should be taking care of cats and donating to pet organizations on your page, because that is not relevant content to what you're trying to achieve. You want to make sure that you're not feeding your audience anything that they don't want to digest. But you want to push the needle a little bit so that they feel excited by you. You know, think about the content you're seeing online right now, and what you're taking the time to view. It's stuff that captivates you, and maybe it's new information that you didn't know about. Maybe it's police brutality videos, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you know, it's relevant to what is happening now. Memes are great. They can drive a point home very precisely and quickly, and they can go viral if they're done well. But don't be obnoxiously offensive in your memes, because nothing pisses donors off more than being obnoxious and gross. I had a candidate who I was working with, who I had raised like a couple $1,000 from a particular individual, and they saw that the candidate did a podcast and said some really crude things, and did some really crude things, and the next day I had an email saying they wanted their money back. So you really do have to walk that line. You know, libertarianism is a philosophy that really promotes individuality, but if you're a candidate, there are boundaries that you need to stay within if you are going to galvanize the support you need to get you over that threshold. You should be pushing libertarian talking points. You should not be pushing things that are so outrageous that they push your donors away. And I'm sure Kara is very in tune to what that line is. And so if you have any questions, ask her or send me an email, and I think we'll both be happy to give you some advice in regards to that. Again, it's okay to push the needle, just don't be vulgar and nasty and drive your donors away. Also, back again, you're going to need to direct them to your website, because Facebook has a rule that it will not do any fundraising to benefit a political campaign, action committee, or a candidate for office. So don't rely on Facebook for your fundraising. Find other avenues. You can post always driving back to your website. However, you need to know that Facebook's algorithm tends to deflect posts from people's feeds that drive them outside of Facebook. So keep that in mind. And sometimes, what our team decided to do was create an event for what we were trying to fundraise for, but then sneak in our website in the donate button. So there are ways to skirt around that, but you really need to play around. And once again, if you don't have a really solid website to drive people to, then you're at risk of losing donors. Send direct messages to each one of your contacts with a stump speech, no more than 100 words, and a link back to your website. The more time that you have to personalize conversations with individuals, the more likely they are to respond. For instance, I just reached out to an individual, and once upon a time in a previous life, I was a bartender, and I knew this individual from when I was bartending. So I put in a little story about, something funny that happened back in the day. And just that connection allows them to revisit a positive experience with me, and then consider my candidacy, or then consider what I'm working towards, and they're more inclined to support. I tell this to people every single day. Development, fundraising lives in the non-controversial spaces where people can align, where people see common ground that they can work towards. People want to put their money towards things they feel passionate about. And oftentimes those things happen in spaces that are not hot zones, not landmines that they're about to step on, things that they can actually see deliverable progress to. So just personalize all your emails and drive them to very succinct content. Let them know who you are, what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve with running for office, and why you're the best person for the job. Tie it all together. Stump speech. Doesn't have to be more than 800 words. Probably should be less than that. But whatever it takes. It could be a longer thread of conversation, ultimately. Starting the direct message is the first start. People from high school, people from college, people from, vacations that you once went on, that you met this couple from, Bermuda that you stayed in touch with. Those direct messages can lead to small dollar donations, whether you believe it or not. Those small interactions, if people are just hanging out, sitting on $50 and don't mind tossing it your way, that adds up. I don't know how many Facebook friends you have, but if you put $25 from every one of them, think about how much your campaign could achieve. And all of that starts with a conversation. Email marketing. My personal favorite email marketing tool is Constant Contact because of its ease of use. I think it's very clean. I think maybe it's my favorite because a lot of the organizations that I have worked with have used it. And so there's a certain comfort level that I have with it. Most of these will do the same exact thing. MailChimp, as I said before, I found a little clunkier, but it's a free service and you get what you pay for. Whereas Constant Contact, the one downside that I have seen to Constant Contact is it has the least friendly spam policy. So I have worked on campaigns where I have had to start multiple accounts, and which is great because you start another account and they give you all the free perks of you. Whoa, you just joined us, welcome. But if you have more than a one person spam rate per email that you send out, then they will boot you. It's happened to all of us. Just start a new account. Try to avoid spamming people. That's why it's really important that the list that you maintain are people who have opted in and consented to being part of your list to receive your email. That's your volunteer list and people who have signed up on your website to learn more about the campaign. So you want to take all of those emails in and you want to use them to pump out as much content as you can. And back to the social media, you want to make sure you drive them on your emails, on your appeals to your social media to stay functional, but you want to stay relevant to the topic. A lot of what's going on now, the LP, I'm sure you've seen the appeals that are coming across to you. We're doing one this week on qualified immunity. We have talked about the campaigns, the presidential nomination. You've seen a lot of the different appeals that come through from the LP. You really want to stay on topic for what is relevant, what is current, because that's what's going to energize people. Interestingly enough, those appeals see a lot of traction when individuals outside of the campaign or outside of the candidate themselves, I guess it's not solely if the candidate does it, but if other people decide to then forward that on with a personal note, hey, there's this really great candidate that I'm paying attention to. Maybe you should check them out. If you can get 5 people to promote that to 5 different other people, just your appeals, if they forward that on to 5 other people, you're going to maximize your reach, amplify your message, and hopefully see contributors outside your immediate bubble. Is everybody on board? Does anybody have any questions just yet?
Well, I think it's pretty good. We'll do questions at the end. However, we have about 5 more minutes left of presentation.
I'm not going too fast, right?
No.
Okay. Make sure you have an auto response associated with your donations with a next action. Do you want to make phone calls for the candidate? Do you want to hold signs? Do you want to organize a Zoom fundraiser? One major point that I want to tell you about is don't buy lists. Often there's many companies that are trying to sell you lists of people's information. These are typically outdated or have misinformation. Unless a candidate who has run in your district in the last 2 years offers you a list, don't buy it. It's not worth your time, your money, the amount of effort it's going to take to run through that list and see if it's valid information. So that's just my advice. You don't have to take it, but all of this is just my advice, and you don't have to take any of it. Zoom fundraising. You want to have parties. I just did a virtual donor summit. Kara attended. You want to have many parties. You want to get hosts to invite people to the room. And you want to get as many people as there as possible. You can have multiple hosts for different days. Let the hosts introduce you. Let them be generous in describing you, and you be humble and gracious. You want to hit your stump speech hard and then tell them how you're going to use their money effectively. Everybody wants to know that their money is going to something worthy. And so let them know why you're worthy enough to receive their cash. Don't forget to ask them for money. I hope that you all will take the time today to think about what you have the capacity to give and help this campaign. Please, if you'd like to make a donation, go to www.xyz.com. Each guest whose email you ultimately get from the host, you should add to your tracker and follow up with them. They are important to building out your network. They might be the next host of the party you're about to have. So please follow up with them. Digital advertising is cost effective, easy to manage, from Facebook ads to Google search ads. You can start out simple and expand to more advanced ads as you grow. Using digital ads can bring in more support to raise money and take advantage of digital tools available these days. Explore those options. See what fits for you and your budget. In 2020, people are watching videos. You can use Facebook Live to talk about how your campaign's going. You can keep people engaged that way. You can create YouTube videos and circulate them amongst different groups that are relevant. In my city, we have parent groups. We have purchasing groups that, you know, we can trade stuff on. Neighborhood association groups. Nextdoor is a really great tool. It was created by Obama's former CTO, but it is a relevant tool for neighborhoods. Nextdoor, it's brought communities together all over the place, and I happen to be my community person that evaluates who can come in and who can't. You want to be serious. Times are tough for people. They're not looking for foolishness. They're looking for leadership. So don't do ridiculous things like give interviews naked. Donors hate that stuff. I feel like, and good luck. And good luck in your race this year. We can't wait to celebrate with you. So that's what I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Tara, if you could make me the host again, and then that way I can get people unmuted and get questions answered. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to, if you wish to ask a question, unmute yourself and then you can ask your question.
Me? This
Go
is
for it.
Susan. Hey, you mentioned direct messaging fundraising, and I had just been thinking about that. So what are some best practices for that? I know that keep it short, make some personal reference.
Keep it short, give a personal reference of an experience or something that a mutual friend that you have, things that you can tie together and find some unity on, just instant unity on. And, you know, ask them to consider it. And if nothing else, say, I'd love to have a conversation with you and hear your feedback once you've looked over the site. That gives you another window for the next conversation.
So should your first contact be, hey, just check out this candidate that I'm working with. He's great. He's fantastic. I'm really excited about him. Or can
I'm really excited about him because
right.
XYZ.
But so in that first message, you wouldn't say, hey, throw some dollars this way, unless it was someone you knew was really close.
No. Ask for dollars every single time. Every single time you ask for dollars. But also offer the option, if they want to pick up the phone and have a conversation with you about it, they should feel free to do that.
Great. Thanks.
Make yourself as available as possible for them.
Okay, and do we have any other questions?
I'm just glad you solidified that I've got a good campaign team. Wow.
That's always reassuring, isn't it, James, when you're like, you know what? I'm doing something right.
Right. Yeah, I've got a fundraiser actually this weekend in Missouri. And my biggest campaign donor right now is like $250. And he's going to donate another $750 next week. So,
keep your donors happy, they'll come back again. Nothing's better than repeat donors. You know,
well, it's kind of hard. It's just kind of hard to keep truck drivers happy. That's where all my donations are coming from.
Yeah.
Everyone has their niche area. That's their sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and does anyone else have any questions?
Kara, I've got a question. Jackie woke up, so I'm free to be talky now. So Tara, I noticed that you kept mentioning Nation Builder several times throughout the presentation. Is there a reason you're recommending Nation Builder instead of Civi, saying that Civi is free and it's already what a lot of states are using? So if you're getting some data from your state LP, it should be able to integrate easier and not cost you
So,
money?
well, so I think Andy Burns is the best person to talk about our Civi. Civi's a new tool, and we haven't integrated all the states, and so therefore we have not taken our full fundraising onto Civi. It does help with membership. Membership is doing a lot through Civi, but I'm not very comfortable with it yet, mostly because we haven't integrated it with all 50 states, and we have donors in all 50 states, and I need to be able to reach all of them. So that I'm not anti-Civi.
Okay.
I have heard different things from HubSpot. I have heard different things from other CRMs that people are using. I don't have any. I have traditionally kept my email tools separate from any other trackers that I was using. This integration process is a fairly new process to have everything coming together. We do have eCanvasser. I don't know if eCanvasser, Kara, you might be able to answer that. If eCanvasser allows you to track your donors through there as well.
It's pretty rudimentary. That's really not what it's made for. It's made to integrate with whatever data management program you're using. So it's meant to be used out in the field to be able to enter information when you're door knocking. But does it track the other thing? It really doesn't. Will it integrate, and can you use it for phone banking and that? Yeah, you can as well. But it's meant to be a piece that integrates with your larger CRM program, whatever that program is.
For a small campaign, guys, just use an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to be able to manage your data so much more effectively in your own spreadsheet. It's not complicated. You know, you can sort it the way you want. I like to color code my spreadsheets, even though I'm working with huge databases. I still like to operate and sort everything as I want to see it in an Excel spreadsheet. I wouldn't recommend sharing that. It's less secure to share that data. But if you are the hub of your own campaign, I would definitely recommend holding, inclusive of adding that information into your Civi, into your whatever CRM you're using. I would also just maintain your own personal spreadsheet that you can reference at any time. I'm sorry, it sounds like it's not 2020, but it's definitely what I have found as a fundraiser to be my favorite tool.
Okay, and we are going to have to wrap up. Thank you everyone for attending this. As usual, I will upload this to YouTube, and then all of you who have filled out your form, your run for office form, that gets you on my email list so that I can send you the newsletter. You get a link to this video so you can watch it and refer to it later. So thank you very much, Tara, for presenting, and thank you everyone for being a part of this.
I am putting my email into the chat, and so if you have any follow-up questions you want me to address, please feel free to email me.